Hey, this is Dave with SUVDad.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about catalytic converters. Not the best topic, I know, but there's been a huge rise in the amount of catalytic converters that have been stolen recently. Main reason why is it's a really simple thing for someone to do. If they have a saw, it takes them 10 or 15 seconds to go and remove the catalytic converter from a car, and there are some precious metals inside the catalytic converter, so they're basically just taking all the precious metals there and then just selling them. So it's a pretty easy crime, very difficult to prevent. One thing they do in our neighborhood is the police department, and there are auto shops that will etch your VIN number onto your catalytic converter. And the hope in that case is that if the police end up hearing about some suspicious activity and they catch the people who are removing the catalytic converters, maybe they'll find yours in their possession before they actually go and remove all the metals from it, and then they'll be able to return the catalytic converter back to you. It seems like it's pretty unlikely that something like that's going to happen. So what I decided to do is take things one step further. And so what I did is I've purchased a catalytic converter cover from Talons Garage. Now I have a 2018 4Runner, and Talons Garage makes these big catalytic converter covers specifically for certain model years. So for my 2018, this catalytic converter cover fits perfectly for my truck. It's really thick. It's a 1/4 inch thick. I don't know if you can really see the thickness on there, but it's a really good size. It feels pretty heavy. It feels like it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 pounds, and it goes right over the catalytic converter, making it very difficult for someone to steal. They have to really want to devote a lot of time and energy to trying to get to your catalytic converter. And like I said, typically, if you don't have a converter cover, they can get your catalytic converter in 10 to 15 seconds. So this really makes it much more difficult, so they're likely to go and move on to someone else's car. And also with a 4Runner, I have a TRD Pro, so there's already some skid plates on my rig, so having this covering up the catalytic converter will just give me another little bit of underbody armor there to protect my rig in case I'm going over some off-roading and I hit something with the bottom of the truck. Those will help to protect the exhaust and the catalytic converter and that part of the truck. So I just bought it. It feels really good, feels really solid. I'm going to go ahead and install it. That'll be the next part of this video. And just give you my final thoughts after I have it installed on my rig. Alright, so we've completed installation of the Talons Garage catalytic converter cover. And give you my thoughts before we take a look at the actual installation. So the quality of it is obviously extremely high quality. Installation was pretty quick. It took maybe just about an hour or so, so pretty easy installation. Like I mentioned before, I have a TRD Pro, so there's some skid plates in front of it. And the actual TRD, the original skid plate, kind of goes over the catalytic converter. And so it sits really solidly, but it does look like there's a couple of areas there where there's some bolts maybe for the skid plate that aren't bolted down, but they go right over the catalytic converter. And it looks really firm, really solid. It just gives it kind of a good solid skid plate base. Goes all the way from the front bumper back to just past the catalytic converter. So a lot of underbody protection there, which is really nice. And overall, I'm really happy with the installation. Like I said, the first thing is it's going to deter someone from trying to take my catalytic converter. So the price in and of itself, it's a win there. No guarantee that someone would try and take the catalytic converter. I generally have my car in a good place, but if you're out and about and you're parked somewhere and the car is in an area where there's not a lot of traffic, there's a chance someone could try and take it. So I feel good about just the general ability to not have to deal with the fact if someone did steal my catalytic converter, I'd be out several hundred, if not $1,000, and have to take the time to go and get it replaced. And just kind of that feeling of having someone take something from you that's not theirs, that's generally one of those things that just feels pretty crappy. So happy to have that taken care of. And then the ancillary benefit, a little bit more underbody protection, which is always good when you're out off-roading. So like I said, good quality product. I'm happy with the overall experience. I feel like this is something that's going to stay on the truck for as long as I own it, and I'm never going to need to replace it. And it's just going to give me that peace of mind, which I think is worth quite a bit in its own right. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the underbody so you can see exactly how the catalytic converter cover sits, in particular when you're dealing with a truck that has any type of skid plates on the underbody. So let's do a flyby. Let's start with the front of the truck and go past the two skid plates. Here's the first TRD skid plate that's at the front of the truck. And then right behind that skid plate, there's a second one. And then as you move past the second skid plate, that's where you'll see the catalytic converter that covers both of the catalytic converters. And it doesn't sit exactly flush. We'll get a better view in a moment when we take a look at the driver's side. All right, now let's take a look at the catalytic converter cover from the driver's side. Here's the side view. You can see that there is a part of the underbody there that holds the cover in place, and then as you move towards the front of the cover, you can see how it's wedged slightly beneath the skid plate that's part of the original skid plate that's part of the truck. So you can see how those two pieces sit together. Not exactly flush, but pretty flush. And as you see that one arm there that holds the cover in place, there's also one on the passenger side.